You're listening to Video Villa Podcast, Episode 6, Gremlins by Joe Dante. So in case you're new here, we are a movie-obsessed duo that talks about all things nostalgia, new movies and old movies, and everything in between, whatever that may be. So today, I have Logan with me, and
Hello.
yeah, and we're going to talk about Joe Dante's Gremlins from 1984.
Yes. This movie is... this movie means a lot to a lot of people, I feel like.
Yeah, I feel like when I started, but when I started telling people we were going to start a podcast and that was going to be a movie review podcast, Gremlins came up a lot.
Yeah,
in conversation.
And I don't want to act like a poser or anything like that. I'm not going to lie. I like Gremlins, but I'm not like the biggest fan of Gremlins, but I do really enjoy it. I do. I was a little late to the show when it comes to Gremlins. Funny story. I actually remember the first time I attempted to watch Gremlins. I didn't even want to watch it. We were at Gran's house, and Brad was like, "Gremlins is on. Gremlins is on." Because for some reason, we didn't have any at our house. We had no cable, nothing. But Gran had one of those like 10-foot. Gran is my grandmother.
Obviously.
Gran had one of those like 10-foot satellite dishes that used to literally pivot when you watch different channels and stuff like that.
Get it, Gran?
But she had HBO when Gremlins was on. Yeah. And Brad, my cousin, was like, can we watch Gremlins? Can we watch Gremlins? And scaredy cat Logan's like, I don't want to watch Gremlins. I don't want to watch Gremlins. So we didn't watch it because I was too scared to watch it. And then I swear to God.
Aren't you just a party pooper?
Brad, we were little. Brad was like so pissed.
Yeah.
As pissed as an 8-year-old could be.
Yeah. When we watched it a couple years ago, that was the first time, or a few years ago, that was the first time I had watched it that I can recall. But
yeah, that was like 3 years ago.
Yeah, I like it. Those thinking gremlins are so cute. Well, really, just Gizmo.
Just Gizmo.
Cute.
Yeah, it's just Gizmo. No, yeah.
But yeah, if I could just have like a real life pet Gizmo, I'd be content with the rest of my life. Whatever happens after that.
I will say,
so cute.
The first real time I watched it, I don't know, I was like 16 or something like that. And I do like to watch around like Christmas because it takes place during Christmas, which is funny because like the movie actually didn't even come out at Christmas. Mm-hmm. And I was watching this behind the scenes with Joe Dante, the director, and he was talking to the little kid at the beginning of the movie in Chinatown.
Yeah.
He was talking to the little boy actor on the behind the scenes, and he's like, "When's the movie coming out?" And the guy, he goes, "Coming out this summer." He goes, "It's not coming out during Christmas." And he was like, no. He's like, if it came out during Christmas, people would go see it. But after Christmas was over, they would stop going to see it.
Yeah, that's the thing about once you coin a movie a Christmas movie, it really only gets high interactions during Christmas time, which is just once a year.
Yeah, and that was the point. Is like he wanted to. He basically wanted to prevent that from happening. Yeah. He wanted to prevent people from checking it out just because it was Christmas related and they didn't want to like get depressed because Christmas was over, which that's pretty smart.
Yeah. Absolutely.
But that was kind of cool. But yeah, like the first time I watched it was like I said, it was like 16 years old or something like that. I don't know. Like it has a huge nostalgic feeling to it that a lot of people can relate to. And it, like, the marketing on this movie is like crazy. Like, the fact that like they're still making toys to this day.
Yeah.
And I remember going to the county fair, and you play little dark balloon games, and then winning Gremlin posters and stuff like that. It was ridiculous. Literally having like legit like stuffed animal gremlins at our county fair, a little small county fair in Middle Tennessee. I mean, it's like that's huge. I mean, and that was, we're talking about at that point in time, 15 years later since the movie came out, people were still into it. And it's not like they were making sequels or anything like that.
Yeah.
So it's like it still had a hold on people. And and Gremlins 2 is good too. I don't know if you ever saw it. Did you see Gremlins 2 before?
I think I've maybe watched it like once.
That one's pretty good. It's actually a really good sequel.
Yeah.
I do like it.
Yeah, it also it kind of goes into the realm of just those older movies where they are about like gremlins or little monster type things.
Yeah.
And they're just fun to watch. They're quirky. Although 8-year-old you was potentially afraid of them.
Well, it was. The gremlins were actually, besides Gizmo, when the Mogwais turn into the gremlins or whatever you want to call it, those monsters are scary.
Yeah.
They are scary to a kid. Like, they are scary.
Yeah. But, like now, they're not that scary, obviously.
Yeah.
But yeah, so they're quirky, they're weird, like they're gross.
It is funny, too. I mean, because, like, it's scary, but it's one of those weird where it's, like, it balances between, because it's not really a horror movie. People put it in the horror genre, but it's not really a horror movie.
But yeah, there's just like, and then I love Gizmo, but like the scenes of Gizmo where there's random scenes throughout the movie. There's one I think where he's like laying in the bed just looking through a book or like a magazine or something.
He's looking at a 3D comic book and he's got the 3D glasses on. Yeah, that's cute.
Yeah, there's just quirky little things like that, and I like how Gizmo like specifically doesn't do the things that you're not supposed to let the gremlins do.
He's good.
Like, when they offers him food and Gizmo's like, no.
Which Howie Mandel did the voice of Gizmo.
So cute.
Yeah, that's the guy from Deal or No
That's
Deal.
probably all I'm going to say this whole entire podcast.
It's just so cute. I guess I'll get in some facts about it. I mean, it was written by Christopher Columbus, and then Steven Spielberg bought the movie from Christopher Columbus so he can make it at his production company. What is it? Amber? I want to say Amberlin, but that's the emo band. Every time I try to say the name of the company, but I always call it the wrong Amblin. But this was like one of the first movies that he made with his new production company, and you got to see the Amblin logo with the little ET's logo thing on it. But he bought it from Chris Columbus, and then he changed some things around it because it was much of a darker movie to begin with.
Yeah.
And he livened it up and changed part, like at the ending. Little things like they were going to have, Gizmo was never going to be a good gremlin. He was going to be a bad gremlin. They scratched that and made it smart to make him like, a good gremlin.
Yeah, lovable.
Yeah. And then, because basically the Spike character was supposed to be Gizmo, and they just scrapped that part.
Yeah,
which a lot of people say that saved the movie. Like that made the movie the movie. Like if you didn't have Gizmo, this movie would not be that good of a movie. It would be more of a horror movie.
Yeah, I think because everyone fell in love with Gizmo's character in general. Like, who does not want like a little furry friend?
Yeah, and then Chris Wallace. He's the one who he created the characters for the movie. Did a great job on that. He didn't come back for the second one. Rick Baker, was from the Coming to America.
Yeah.
Well, it's called. He did the second one, which was it was pretty hard to get him to actually come back. He said he didn't want it. It would have been so much work to be put into a movie that wasn't like actually his original work. So he didn't really want to spend that much time on something that wasn't originally his. Like basically copying someone else's work because Chris Wallace couldn't come back for the second one.
Yeah. I will say, when you look into like any of these movies, so Little Shop of Horrors, Gremlins, there's tons of them, and I just can't think of them off the top of my head, where they make these crazy puppet-like things.
Oh, yeah.
Like,
Little Shop of Horrors, that one's ridiculous. Like,
yeah. We went to some type of horror con, one of the horror cons,
it was the
last year. It was the Pop Horror Con,
the Maryland
in
one.
Maryland, yeah. And they had like a whole rooms set up with all the different.
They had the ET bike.
Yeah, the ET bike with ET on it,
Mm-hmm.
and the Little Shop of Horrors, the Venus flytrap,
Mm-hmm.
and all that kind of stuff. And it's mind
And
blowing.
they said those were like scene used too.
Yeah.
Like actually from the movie.
Yeah, but it's just mind blowing to see that kind of stuff. Like of course, it's always cool when it comes to hair and makeup of real people or CGI and stuff like that. But these built up from the bottom puppets and crazy, thoughts that are brought to life are just, it's insane to like look into and see what all goes into it.
Oh yeah, and this movie's great. It's a great combination of practical effects, animatronics, and stop motion. It's like all three. I love stop motion. Love stop motion. I mean, I think, and then I'm a big diehard of like actual practical effects.
Yeah.
Not a huge fan of CG stuff because just I don't know. I mean, like people these days are still making great practical effects. I mean,
Oh yeah.
the Midsummer movie, where the cult movie or whatever, that part where that guy gets his head bashed in with
Haven't
that
watched
hammer.
it.
That is
Don't
like
care for it.
Those practical effects are literally amazing.
Yeah.
Just amazing. Same thing with like Elysium, where the guy's face gets blown up
Yeah.
for the grenade is amazing. But this movie is like, I love the feel and the vibe of the movie. It's so
For
unique.
Gremlin or Midsummer?
No, sorry, no. I went on a tangent, ramble. But no, Gremlins. I'm saying
Yeah.
like the effects are just amazing.
Yeah.
Like little, like it all the time they put into making all these different little monsters and stuff like that. So it's a lot of love and care went into making this movie. The funny thing I found out is the writer Chris Columbus. I remember telling you about the movie that I really liked. I wanted you to watch, the Only the Lonely. Well, he actually wrote and directed it.
Oh yeah, nice.
Which and he also then went off to direct, Home Alone 1, Home Alone 2.
Yeah.
And
Mrs. Doubtfire.
Yeah. So he's top notch when it comes to like he has a good way. Like I really want to know I know you can probably find it somewhere, the original script of the movie.
Yeah.
I like to actually read that one day to see how much it differs. But then and then also like Joe Dante did a great job. I mean, this movie has a feel to it. Now, I don't know if it's just Joe Dante because Steven Spielberg had a lot to do with the movie. But I want to say, I want to give credit to Joe Dante. I believe it's him. But like this movie has that feeling. Like I love the vibe and feel of this movie.
Yeah.
It feels like cozy.
Yeah.
I guess the only word I can think of is like cozy.
I mean, it's along the lines of, Uncle Buck and things like that when it comes to the feeling that you get from it. And it's no shocker that one of the main people associated with the movie created or took part in Home Alone and Mrs. Doubtfire, because both of those are, feel-good movies. Movies that you hold close to the heart that are just a joy and pleasure to watch.
Yeah, and then the thing is like they made this movie for about, I mean, there's only estimates online, I don't know exactly the right number, but they made it for about $11 million. And the fact that it grossed a crap load, I mean, like 153 million. So you made it for 11 and it made over $153 million. That's ridiculous. Yeah. I mean, think about that lets you know how many people watched this movie, how many people are like, I mean, that's a lot of eyes to see a movie. It's crazy, especially for, the 80s and stuff like that. Ridiculous. But it was kind of cool, like, cause like this is 1984. So we get this movie and then like, in 1985 we get Ghoulies. Which you saw.
That was the one thing that was the movie I couldn't get out when I was talking about creating little monsters and stuff for movies.
Yeah, so we got to
see. Was another big
we
one.
went to the Colonial Theater in Pennsylvania and saw the Ghoulies and the Gate, the Little Rubber Monster Mayhem that Movie Dumpsters put on, which was awesome.
Hosted. Yeah.
And you find out that's those movies those were actually Joe's movies.
Yeah.
Like
nice.
Like we watched his, like those were his, like he actually had the raw 35 millimeters of those movies. So that's the reason why they got to do it. It was pretty awesome. And then like 86, you have the Shinoda brothers doing The Critters, which was great movie, Space Aliens. That one's not really cute by any means.
Yeah.
Those are straight up mean. Then you get Munchies in 1987. I've never seen Munchies. I saw the sequel, Munchie, because that one's more the kid-friendly one.
Yeah.
With the alien riding on like pizzas and shit like
Yeah.
that. I mean, and with a cool leather jacket or whatever. And then 88, you get Hobgoblins, which is another popular one. I haven't seen that one yet. I've been trying to find it streaming. I have a hard time. But yeah, and then
So also Little Shop of Horrors came out within that time frame as well.
yeah,
I just Googled that. It was 1986.
86.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. I remember like that was another thing that like being younger, watching that movie and realizing like, oh, this movie's dark.
Oh yeah.
Like it's bad. Like these people like
Yeah.
people die, and then Steve Martin's in it, and I'm like, man, he's mean. I love
Yeah.
Steve Martin. Why is he so mean?
I like Venus flytraps, like the actual plant.
But I will say what this episode, when we came across it, I wanted to dedicate to Retro Station because that guy hooked us up with the Blu-ray.
Oh yeah.
If you're in the area.
Yeah, the
and
Baltimore area.
Yeah, the DMV area. There is a really cool flea market, North Point Plaza. Check out Retro Station if you need to build your DVD collection, or Blu-ray collection, which I've been doing now because unfortunately my mom threw away almost 1,000 DVDs. Well, didn't throw away, gave them to Goodwill, and without my consent. But I'm slowly rebuilding it back, and I've been able to do it mainly because of this place. So if you're in the area and you need your fix on a good used DVD Blu-ray store, check out Retro Station at North Point Plaza.
Yeah, North Point Flea Market.
North Point Flea
And
Market.
really, honestly, if we could give any tips for anyone to find movies or even if you're a vinyl like record collector, hit up your flea markets, your local flea markets. They're probably, jam-packed with people that are getting rid of collections.
Oh, yeah.
Whether that be DVDs, records, toys. We've had our fair share of collecting adventures, and flea markets are really a really great way to go. Any outdoor indoor market.
Yeah, because I'm not gonna lie, like
it's really a great option.
I'll pick up Blu-rays when I can, but I love DVDs, and I still buy DVDs all the time. Like I don't care. Like regardless. I mean, if something's on DVD, I'm going to get it first because there's a point of like I need to have it so I can watch it.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's not as important to me to have like the best quality. I definitely want it to be watchable, but like sometimes like I'm not like I get my special features and stuff like that, my my Shout Factories and stuff like that, my Vinegar Syndromes and stuff. When for those harder to find movies, but
Another good place to check is Grandma's Attic. I got a VHS player from my grandma's attic.
Yeah.
She has tons of VHSs.
We got our VHS player from Graham's attic.
Yeah, so if you got a grandma like my grandma, check their attic. Check their attic or their basement or their little underground thing. They got you.
But yeah, so do you want to do the Becca breakdown real quick and we'll go into
woohoo. So Gremlins takes time around Christmas time, but it's not coined as a Christmas movie. Where, what is the father's name? Pete, right?
Dan?
Is it Dan?
I think it's Dan Peltzer, right? Isn't it Dan Peltzer? Yeah, Ran.
Ran is the dad's name?
Yeah, Ran.
Yeah.
R-A-N.
So Ran is an inventor, and throughout the movie you see little inventions that he's made that his family just endures the results of them.
They are so sweet to him.
Yeah, and just, no matter how poopy of an invention it is, they still use it the best that they can. But he is looking for a last minute Christmas gift for his son. Maybe kind of like not really looking for it, but kind of looking for it.
Yeah.
He's in Chinatown, and he goes to, just like in New York, there's like underground stores. And he wants to show one of his inventions. And while he's showing one of his inventions, he hears like some little pitter patter in the back. And he's like, what is, he ignores it for a second. And then finally he tries to investigate it, and it ends up being Gizmo, which Gizmo is a gremlin. And
Mowgai.
yeah. I'm going to call him a gremlin.
Yeah.
But he ends up pretty much asking if he can take Gizmo home. The shop owner is a little bit hesitant to do that. But anyways, he takes Gizmo home. He was given, I think it's 3 very strict rules.
Yes.
Which are don't get them wet, don't feed them after midnight, and
Sunlight.
Yeah, and
It'll kill 'em.
avoid the sunlight. And Rand's like, yeah, I got it. He goes home, and before he even gets home, you see a little peek into his son Billy's life. Billy works at a bank and takes his dog, which is so cute, with him everywhere. And so you get a peek into that. Ultimately, Gizmo is Billy's Christmas gift. And Billy loves it. He's like, oh my gosh, like, this is great. And his dad tells him the 3 rules: don't feed him after midnight, don't get him wet, and don't let him in the sunlight or direct sunlight. Well, that doesn't go as planned. In the upcoming days, Gizmo has hatchlings somehow, or hatchlings appear one way or another.
He gets wet.
Yeah. And I think it was literally just like a little drop of water.
Yeah.
It wasn't anything crazy. And now there's a bunch of them. But the little Gizmo offsprings from the water are evil, essentially. They are the evil Mogwais. And they end up taking over, and Gizmo is so innocent and so cute. And you see that adventure when they're trying to take out the evil gremlins is ultimately what goes on in the movie.
Good job. Good job. Once again, that's the review. All right. You can turn off now.
Bye, guys.
No, good job. Good job. Yeah.
Thanks. Appreciate the support. Number 1 fan here.
All right. So let's get into it. So the movie starts out with, like you said, in Chinatown. We meet Mr. Rand Peltzer. Basically, he goes there at first to try to sell one of his inventions.
Yeah, he is this huge inventor, and some of his stuff makes perfect sense of why you would want to use that. Other stuff, it's like, why would
it's
someone
funny
need
because
that?
his inventions are they make sense, but they're so big and bulky. It's like,
and they go wrong every single time.
Yeah. But I liked his quote though. He says whatever his little selling quote is basically fantastic ideas for a fantastic world. I make the illogical logical.
Yeah.
I wrote it down. I was like, I kind of like that.
Yeah.
But that's why he's there. He's trying to sell them the bathroom buddy. Doesn't really go so well.
Which the bathroom buddy is something that squirts out toothpaste.
Oh,
right?
it's everything. It's a
tweezers, toothbrush.
It's everything. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's everything that you can think of, in a toiletry kit, all in one thing. But basically doesn't go well. And then he starts to hear, some scruffling. And that's where it's like, ooh, what's that? And that's a Mowgai and whatever. And then we get our first look, introduction to it or whatever. And he's like, well, I want that, sir. And he's like, Mowgai not for sale. The rules, it's too difficult to own a Mowgai.
Yeah,
they're not
you
meant
have
to be.
Yeah,
they're not. You must respect them. They're not meant to be pets. And he's like, oh, okay. And then he goes to leave, and it's his I think it's his. I can't remember if it's his son or his grandfather. No,
the shop owner's son,
his son or grandson. I can't
something
remember.
like that. Yeah,
And he's
trying to convince I think it's his grandpa. He tries to convince him to.
Well, he just gives it to him.
I thought
doesn't
he went
convince
back
him.
and tried to have a conversation with him.
No, he doesn't. No, he just gives it to him.
Yeah.
He's like, well, he just he lets him have it. He goes, have it, it's a Merry Christmas, whatever. So the dad has got the Gizmo we don't know his name yet, but it's Gizmo.
Yeah.
Which we cut to the next scene where we're introduced to Kingston Falls, which is the town that it takes place in. We get a little funny little Steven Spielberg little Easter egg with the Indiana Jones little sign, the local radio station or whatever sign, and it's Indiana Jones and stuff. Which I don't know if you recognize it, but the town. When you see the town square that you get introduced to,
yeah.
A lot of people know this, but if you don't know it, this is the first time you're hearing it. Well, here you go. It's the same. It's the same town from Back to the Future. Yeah. It's funny because there's so many things that about Gremlins, like things that you need to know about Gremlins.
Oh
And
yeah,
it's
the
like,
must knows or whatever.
yeah, and it's like if you look it up, like if like it's responsible for the PG-13 rating. Blah blah blah. Blah. I'm sounding like a dick now, but you know what I mean.
Yeah, I didn't even know the tangent you were going on.
Well, basically, yeah. So it's the movie came out and it was a PG, but it was almost like. It was weird because they didn't have the PG-13 rating yet when it came out, and this movie kind of was an example. Like, hey, this movie should have been PG-13, and that's when that's when they created the PG-13 rating because, like,
kids were already being traumatized. What's the difference?
Well, you could have a movie Airplane, for example. Airplane is PG, and it says shit in it. I don't think they say the F word in it, but there's tits in it.
Do they even cuss in this though?
Oh, this movie they cuss. I'm just saying, like, the movie, for example. Airplane was PG and it had nudity in it. It should obviously have been rated R because it had nudity in it. But PG-13 hadn't even been invented yet.
Yeah.
So we get a look at the Kingston Falls. It cuts over to the Peltzers, the Peltzer's house where we see Billy trying to get his car started.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, I don't know, like if it's like he's just an unlucky dude or whatever. But you feel for the guy throughout the movie. Like, he's getting, his car's not working. He's getting shit at work because he's got an awful boss and stuff.
Yeah. And he works at a bank in a town full of like rich, like people, it seems like.
Yeah, there's rich people, but it's like, and it's obviously the only bank in town. So everyone's got to go through them for anything.
And the first interaction you see with Billy at his job, first things, I don't know if anyone notices, but his name tag's upside down. I noticed the first time we watched, I'm like, why? Or his name plaque is upside down. And do you remember the woman's name?
Miss Deagle.
Yeah. Miss Deagle comes in because I think she wants to like cash a check or get money out.
Oh, she's coming to do something like that, and she's pissed as hell because Barney had broken her. Which Barney is Billy's dog that he takes everywhere, it seems like, with him. At least takes him to the bank for work. Well, he's got the little cubby for him by his feet at the thing.
But so Mrs. Deagle throws a fit, and you get a peek into why people might not be that nice to Billy, and it's because of his dad.
Yeah, I
think people see his dad as this crazy inventor that is like wasting his time, wasting other people's time with his, quote unquote stupid inventions. And he's just frowned upon based off the higher end of the population that they're around.
Yeah, and I love his dad in the movie. I think he's the dad is sweet.
Just a quirky American dad.
Yeah, I when like later in that scene she says crap, that she basically says talk shit about him. Yeah. It's like, man, who are you to sit there and talk shit about another person's parent to their child?
Well, I mean, it's a movie.
Yeah.
But
but so so anyway,
but yeah, she is rude. She threatens to put Barney in her dryer.
Oh, she's gonna kill him. Yeah.
Yeah, which I
she threatens to kill Barney.
If there's one thing where I'm like, fucking ew, is when people threaten to do anything to animals or do anything to animals. You're on my shit list the moment that happens.
Guess what Barney's real name is?
What? Mushroom?
Mushroom, yeah.
Yeah, that's cute.
You looked at the notes. You didn't know that.
No, I didn't know that. But I do love a good food name for an animal.
There's nothing better than naming an animal food.
Yeah, like after food. Yeah,
100%.
So Logan and I, little tidbit about us, they're like, there's these two stray cats. One's not straight, actually. It's owned by our neighbor. But
it spends time outside, and we pet it when it's outside.
And then there's a stray cat at the gym we go to. And, like, why not name a stray animal just in case it becomes yours, even though it's your neighbor's? So we name them, like, Soup and Panini.
Yeah, Soup is the one at the gym, and Panini is our next-door neighbor's cat.
And my dog, this name didn't end up sticking, but I was going to name him Pickles. It's just, everyone loves a good food name. How could you not like an animal named after food? Everyone loves food.
My old co-worker's cat was named Soda Pop.
Yeah, I had one that named their cat Soup.
Yeah, I had a cat named Rice Cake, as you know.
Yeah.
And I had a cat named Peanut Butter.
Yeah, see? If you have any animals named after food, let us know. We'd love to hear it.
Oh, yeah.
And
more
send
power
a picture.
To
But, so Miss Deagle's, like, rude, and she threatens Barney. And Billy just kind of like, whatever, just lets it roll. And Billy gets home from work and his mom's making dinner. It's just a basic middle class family. And you see I think it's the first peek outside of the bathroom buddy into like how their house is just like full of Rand's inventions.
Oh yeah, yeah.
So Billy is attempting to use this egg invention, and it just like crushes the eggs entirely. Instead, I think it's supposed to crack them, and it just crushes them entirely. And Billy makes a comment. Was it Billy or the mom?
His mom. Yeah. His mom makes a comment. Says the size. Yeah.
Yeah, where she's like, "Dad's inventions worked so well for a couple weeks, and then no
one just says anything. Yeah. He's just like, and then they, and you
move on. You see that like they're trying to support, the husband and the dad and his inventions, but like they aren't working out at all.
No, and then but this is around the time when their dad actually is coming home from his little sales trip or whatever you want to call it from Chinatown, and this is actually when he brings Billy his present, which is little Gizmo basically.
Yeah,
and then he explains them the 3 rules, which if you basically can't get them wet, can't feed them after midnight, and then don't keep them out in the sun. The sun will kill them.
Billy, of course, is like, yeah, okay, like, I got it, Dad, I got it. And that's when they name him. They're like, well, what do you want to name him? Mm-hmm. And they name him Gizmo. I guess that has something to do with his dad being an inventor.
I have no
Little
idea.
Gadgets, Gizmos and Gadgets. Yeah, so Billy's like, okay, great, I'll take the best care of him. I'll take care of him, Dad. And you see the Barney's reaction to Gizmo, and he's like, what the heck is this?
That little thing where, because it jumps out the box. It's like almost like a jump scare, if you want to call it a jump scare, but it's funny. Like that, it's just, like I said, once it comes back, like what we were talking about earlier, it's just like the vibe and feel of the movie. It just feels cozy.
Yeah.
Like even like Billy's room. Billy has the coolest freaking room. Oh, yeah.
So if you ever like lived or seen a Cape Cod where you had the main floors of the home and then the upstairs floors, they're very common in the DMV area, and maybe they're common everywhere else. I don't know. But you have the main floor, usually you have a basement, and then the upstairs bedrooms, usually it's 1 or 2 bedrooms, and they're really actually an attic that turned into a bedroom. So like the house I was first raised in was a Cape Cod. So me and my sister's rooms were technically attic bedrooms, but it was a finished attic. It wasn't, used for storage. It was like living quarters essentially.
Yeah. And then, then we get another little scene of basically the Gadgets going not well as planned. You get the orange juice, basically. I don't know, the Petzler pillar. And he's
Peltzer's peel or whatever it is.
Yeah, and then Billy's basically trying to make orange juice with it, and it just makes this sludge, and then shoots out orange juice everywhere.
Yeah.
And then that's when we get I'm sorry, we didn't even talk about the actors in it, but we'll get back to that. But anyway, we get Corey Feldman shows up as Pete.
Yeah.
He's basically I don't know what you want to call it, like a. I won't even call him a sidekick because he's barely in the movie. He has like just another random character, like the little kid next door character, basically.
Yeah. It's Billy's friend. And then you have his love interest that also, I guess it's his love interest.
Yeah.
That also works at the bank, who is Kate.
Yeah, Phoebe Gates.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then famous, Fast Times at Richmond High, Drop Dead Fred, and stuff like that. But so when Pete shows up, Billy wants to show Pete Gizmo, so they go back up to his room to show Gizmo. Mind you, when Pete sees Gizmo for the first time, this doesn't make any sense because why are you not shitting bricks?
No, yeah.
For God's sakes, everyone just thinks it's completely okay to, like, when they see this animal that you've never seen ever in your life, have seen an animal like it before, and everyone acts like, okay, it's just another animal.
Honestly, it's so cute, I'd ask no questions.
I mean, I will say, it's almost like the first time I saw a chinchilla, I'm like, what the fuck is that thing?
Oh, yeah. Logan and I spent like an hour talking about chinchillas the other weekend and how they clean themselves.
It was the crazy thing. Like, well, I was at the fancy mall. Like,
the fancy mall? You got one of those?
Well, so you had the Shady Brook
is that
Mall.
what living in a small town's like?
Yes, you had the Shady Brook Mall, which was not the fancy mall, and then you had Opry Mills Galleria, which was the fancy mall, which was an hour from your house. That one had a pet store and ferrets and stuff like that.
No,
That's the first time I saw
support
chinchilla.
pet stores. There's another thing that this flea market has, which, which, whatever. I could go on a tangent. It's a pet store inside of a flea market, and I'm highly against it. And I will break every single one of those animals out of there one day if Logan lets me keep going there.
But yeah, so like it's funny how Peach is nonchalantly checking this thing out, and like he's like, and he's also like not impressed by it. He's oh, that's cool, and then he just looks away and starts reading a comic book. It's like, dude, look what's in front of you. You've never seen that before in your life. How are you not like freaking out?
Yeah.
Like I would actually be somewhat scared if I saw it. I'm like, what the fuck is that?
I don't think I'd be scared.
We cue the like, what is the Cardi B like? Well, oh my god, what is that?
Yeah.
But yeah, this is basically the scene where we find out they multiply if they get wet because
Pete accidentally knocks over glass.
It's a water glass because Billy's an artist.
Yeah.
So it's basically his cleaning station for his brushes and stuff like that.
And Gizmo essentially gets wet. And the thing is, you were told these rules. The only rule you were told what happens is if Gizmo gets in the sun, that it could kill him. You're not told about any of the other things, what they could do.
And you're never told why to do these things either.
Or don't do them, So you realize that Gizmo cannot get wet because they then multiply.
Yes, yes. And which is crazy because we, like as we said earlier, you find out that the duplicates are not nice. So it's
Nor are they. I mean, they're at first they're okay. Well, first off, they're ugly. Like they're in these little cocoon type chrysalis things.
No, that's later. That's when they turn into gremlins. They first show up as a fur ball and they like a cotton ball, and then it kindly grows, and then it's a gremlin. I mean, it's a Mowgai.
Well, because at first I thought Billy's mom comes up. He gets his mom, and she comes upstairs, and these little things are attached to the floor.
No, that's later.
Oh, okay.
That's after they eat after midnight.
Oh, yeah, I got you. Because then she's like, "What'd you do, Billy? Did you feed him after midnight?" Yeah. Okay. Yeah. And we're back on track, guys. Sorry for the intermission.
Which it's because that makes me think. It's like, okay, so do they have? I mean, is there boys and girls?
I don't know. I didn't think that far into it. I don't think anyone else did either.
Well, that's the thing is I think about it. So it's like, okay, so or like if you get them wet, the duplicates are not known to be mean and not nice, or is it like? But if they procreate, they're going to be nice. I don't know. That's one thing that I was like, oh, why is Gizmo nice and they're not? That's
I think Gizmo's just unique, and that's why he was being kept in a cage in Chinatown.
Oh, that's
Gizmo is just unique.
Maybe just Gizmo is just the only nice one.
Yeah, and maybe, I mean, obviously he was not meant to multiply. That's why they were told not to get him wet. So that's probably why he was not supposed to get wet, because you probably don't know what you're going to get when they multiply.
Oh, I didn't see.
You don't got to think so logically. Just to make assumptions.
Well, that's smart. I didn't think about it that way, but that makes sense. That makes sense.
I got you. But anyway, so they end up multiplying, and Billy shows his dad what happens, and of course his dad, being a businessman or entrepreneur and inventor, he's like, we gotta sell him. Like, Gizmo is so great, with such a great gift, we gotta like market this, turn it into something. Why not? The
Petzler pet.
Yeah. After that, what all went down?
Oh yeah. So but then after that, Billy goes to his previous teacher to show him Gizmo, because he wants to try to get some more information about the thing, and see if his science teacher's ever seen one. And he shows his teacher it, which he's never seen one before. And then he shows him.
Yeah, the teacher had an authentic reaction. The reaction Logan was looking for out of everyone else.
And then he shows him, and he gives him one drop, just one tiny drop. And that makes him duplicate another one. And then the teacher ends up keeping that one for his own like little research.
Yeah. Meanie.
Well, yeah, he's not. I wouldn't say he's mean, because he has good intentions, but it does suck because like
he seems devious, just his characteristics and stuff. I mean, he's just interested.
Yes, interest. I wouldn't say devious, because it doesn't seem like there's anything done with the malicious, and it's
but
just
it's
more
like, sir, you are a school science teacher. You are not. And that's,
you're not a scientist.
That's not me shitting on science teachers. It takes a lot to be a teacher in general. And yes, you are very highly educated. But this is like creature, living thing, scientist. I don't necessarily think that was in his realm.
I agree. That's not his toolbox.
Yeah.
That's not his profession.
But he's giving it a shot. It's something new. Why
not? And so after this little, fiasco that happens at the school and stuff like that, I don't know if it's fiasco, whatever. But after this, we see Billy walking home, which he walks by the bar that we saw from earlier in the movie, like the little town bar where people go and stuff, and because that's where Kate works.
Yeah.
Kate works both places, the bar
and the bank.
Yeah, and the bank.
The double B's.
And so basically he walks there, basically closing up for the night, and his neighbor, who we saw earlier in the movie, he's there, and he's drunk. And he's kind of funny. Like, he's funny, but we find out later, like...
Yeah, and he rode there on his tractor or something, was it?
It's a snowplow thing. Yeah.
Because it's snowing. It's winter. It's Christmas time.
His Kentucky Harvester, he keeps on calling it or whatever. Ugh. And then he's too drunk, basically, to drive it home. They're like, I think you should walk. He's like, you know what, Kate? I think we'll walk.
Yeah, and they're like, all right, bye.
But so, basically, Billy walks Kate home. And they start, talking, and we kind of hear that basically Kate's not a big fan of Christmas.
Yeah.
Which we don't know yet. We'll learn why. She doesn't go in detail. She just
Which
says,
is like so crazy. Oh my gosh. So it's such a...
She says like, Christmas is depressing and stuff like that. But we don't go into detail yet. And he gets her to her house, and, we don't know how long he's been like digging her, and we don't know how long they've been friends and stuff like that. But this is like the first time he's like asked her out on a date.
Yeah.
Which she agrees to. But at the exact same time, it cuts back to at the school, which why in the hell is the teacher still at the school like at 8 o'clock at night?
Because he's an evil scientist. He's being sketchy.
And this is where, Becca's talking about where he's being evil because he's taking blood from the little Mowgai.
Yeah.
Which, mind you,
at least it's not Gizmo.
That is a big freaking needle.
Yeah.
Like, that needle's humongous.
Yeah, I mean, it's obvious for effects. But still. He's like, it's just a little bit of blood. Let me tell you something. Whether the doctor tells you, whether you're a human in real life outside this movie, and the doctor tells you it's a little bit of blood, they're not taking in comparison to the blood that's in your body, yes. But they are not taking a little bit of blood. That's a lie every single time. And it was a lie in this case, too. Ridiculous.
But so after this, we see that we cut back to Billy's room, and then this is the scene that you were talking about earlier with him wearing the little 3D glasses, reading comics.
Yeah, so they just it's so cute. Billy and Gizmo just hang out together. Like, it's truly just like if you have a dog or a cat or whatever, and you just chill on your couch on a Saturday, and your dog or cat lays with you while you watch TV, or maybe that's just me every Saturday. And you get a scene, and I think Billy's watching TV or something, or
watching
doing art.
I think that's when they're watching Invasion of the Body Snatchers.
Yeah. And you see Gizmo's little reaction to the little monsters, which, mind you, Gizmo's not just a normal thing either. His eyes get all big, and
because it's foreshadowing, because it's they're
what's
pods.
Gonna happen? Yeah,
they're pods. Something's coming out of them, and then later in the movie, the Gremlins turn into pods, and then stuff comes out of it.
And then there's another scene, which I talked about earlier, where Gizmo's looking at a 3D magazine, and it's just this little fur ball with 3D glasses
and he talks. When he talks, it's because he's saying real words.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
So you get a little scene that they're just kind of hanging out, but also Billy's waiting to find out what to do necessarily with all of these miniature Mogwais or whatever.
And then so the ones that are in a box, and they're just freaking out.
Yeah.
And they're and he looks at the clock, and he's like, well, and it's not midnight yet.
But little do you know, they stopped his alarm clock at a certain time.
Yeah.
And chewed the wires, cut the wires, something. Little devious things, because the thing is, they know they can't be fed after midnight.
Yeah, they know.
And even Billy's oh, well, it's not midnight yet. You guys have a little bit of time. They obviously have some sense of when they should and shouldn't eat, because Billy asks Gizmo, are you hungry? Because ultimately he thinks they're freaking out because they're hungry and it's not midnight yet. So he's okay, they have time to eat. I think he thought they had 30 minutes to eat or something. And Gizmo's no.
Yeah.
And Billy goes downstairs and he gets them raw chicken wings.
No, they're cooked. They're
Oh.
cooked. No, they're. It's just like they're home fried chicken legs.
Oh, okay.
That's why they look a little bit different.
Which, like, I don't know about you guys, but I just like have deep rooted issues with eating noises.
Oh yeah,
And-
that one part of the movie is gross. With
Yeah, they're just going to town on these chicken wings. Yeah, foul.
Oh, it's so gross.
Yeah, so, and he's like, wow, you guys really were hungry.
Yeah.
And the whole time in your head, because you saw the scene where they cut the wires, you're like, no, it's past midnight. Like,
No, they don't, there's not a scene where they cut the wires.
you see
You
that.
see it later the next day because Billy checks. He's like, no, it was so and so time. It wasn't whatever. And he looks at it. He's like, he sees the cut wires. He's like, what's going on, Mom?
Oh, I could have sworn you could see it beforehand. That
I don't remember. Maybe you're right. I don't know.
I'm not too sure. But either way, Billy's obviously suspicious over the fact that they, are so hungry and freaking out. And he wakes up the next morning and there are these like weird cocoon things like all around his room. And so he runs down and gets his mom to like come look at this. And sweet little Gizmo's just being a good little boy, just chilling on the bed. And his mom comes upstairs and she's like, what did you do? What did you do, Billy? Did you get them wet? Did you do this? Did you do that? He's like, I fed them, but it wasn't midnight yet. And that's when he's like, wait a second.
Yeah.
And he goes and finds out that his alarm clock stopped just so perfectly at 11:30 or 11:45.
It's something like that. Yeah. It's funny because he has that like, I don't know, that little like, what's going on here, Mom? I don't know. It's funny like the little setup they have. And earlier in the movie, we didn't talk about it yet, but before they even turn, they tie up the dog outside. Remember?
No.
Remember they tie up Barney with the Christmas lights outside,
yeah.
and he thinks for some reason he thinks it might have been Miss Deagle.
Yeah. See, when bad things happen to animals, I just forget about it. In movies. I'm like, I don't want to watch it. Don't want to see it. No, thank you.
So after that happens, we get basically, I call it like the hatching. The teacher calls Billy and lets him know that the Mowgai has hatched while Billy's at the bank. Before Billy can get back there, that gremlin literally kills him.
Yeah.
Because at the same time that Billy feeds them, he feeds his gremlin a Snickers bar because Billy never told the scientist the 3 rules.
Yeah.
So the scientist doesn't know that he can't feed him the Snickers bar past
Yeah,
midnight.
because he was sitting there eating his late night dinner or whatever. The teacher, which was a bologna sandwich, I think, or something like that. I love bologna sandwiches. And that Mowgai is also going crazy. So he's like, all right, maybe you're hungry. Like, you've been here for a while, whatever. So he feeds him like a little treat, not knowing that he is not supposed to do that. So while that's unfolding for the teacher, the same exact events are unfolding for Billy at home.
Yeah, and this part was kind of creepy where the gremlin kills him. He puts all the needles in his butt. And apparently this scene, the original scene, was a little bit more gruesome. And they scaled it back a little bit.
Yeah.
Because they like said, once again, like I don't know if it was Joe Dante's call, but they didn't want it to make it like it wasn't supposed to be a horror movie. Even though like I said, it falls into the category of horror movies, but it's not a horror movie.
Yeah, no, I agree.
Like Little Shop Horrors is not a horror movie, but it can fall in that category.
Yeah.
But yeah, so he gets killed, and this is when we get like 2 nice little jump scares from that gremlin that's attacking him in the school.
Yeah.
Which I remind you, it had been a while since I've seen this. The first one, where he gets his hand clawed at, that scared me. I jumped, and Elvira was in my lap and literally clawed the shit out of my legs because then she jumps. And then
we have our own little Gizmo at home. Actually, it's a cat.
and then I like these scenes because the next scare is really cool because you don't even know it's coming. Like sometimes, like it doesn't let off the gas. Like he runs into that extra room, and before you have time to breathe and think about it, the other one comes out of that same one comes out of the cabinet. Yeah, and like it's like.
Pretty
they're
much
really good.
The
really
teacher
good.
and the Mowgai are doing like a cat and mouse chase.
No, it's Billy. It's Billy.
Sorry.
Because the teacher's dead.
Yeah, so Billy and the Mowgai are doing like a cat and mouse chase around the science area of the school, essentially.
And then at this same time, the ones at the house have begun to start to hatch.
Yeah.
And then we basically have, I forget what the mom's name is or whatever, but she is a badass.
Yeah, I'll look up the name real quick.
She is, like that. I mean, she kills 3 of them.
Yeah.
Like, hands down, kills 3 of them. Puts one in a blender thingy, like one of the Peltzer's blender things. She stabs ones to death, and then she puts one in the microwave and explodes.
Yeah.
And that's when I found, like, that's when I was like, oh, if you put, like, people or animals in the microwave, they explode. I don't know if that happens or not.
Yeah, I don't want to find out.
Well, of course not. But, yeah, mom's straight up, like, badass. Like, she's, okay, I just got to kill these things.
Well, I mean, obviously, when something's attacking you, you're like, I got to do something. I can't just let them do that.
After that scenario at the house and the little jump scares from the stalking and stuff, which I really like the scene and stuff like that, the build up and the tension. We move, basically, one of them gets away, which is Stripe.
Yeah.
He gets away and he makes his way to the YMCA, which Billy follows him basically. And when he gets to the YMCA, that's where he basically jumps in the pool and just creates a shitload of them.
So, and then at that point, Billy runs away and heads to the police because, like, what else are you going to do? You need some sort of, like, help beyond your capability.
Yeah, and they are no help by any means.
Yeah, and pretty much, like, the police just take it as a joke.
Well, he shows them Gizmo.
Yeah.
And they're like, same thing. They're like, what the hell is this thing? Because they've never seen one before either.
So, anyways, the police were pretty much like no help. And at this point, like the Gremlins or the Mowgais are just like taking over Kingston Falls. Just taking over. They are breaking into the neighbor's house, killing people. They visit Miss Deagle, which she deserves. You know,
so
she deserves the evil Mowgais.
100%. Like, they go to the neighbor's house, and this is what I was saying. Like, the neighbor at that point, like, he seemed like a likable character, but then he talks so mean to his wife.
Yeah,
I don't like. I'm like I know.
And this is the same. Just to keep everyone in the loop, if you haven't watched the movie, this is the same drunk neighbor that was at
the bar,
Kate's bar.
Yeah, the bar from earlier.
Yeah,
that's a thing that's crazy because like these things are killing people. Like, his neighbors are dead.
Yeah,
it's not like, oh, it's funny. No, it's like, it is funny. Like, they crash into the house and he's like, they're gremlins.
Yeah,
but then you think about it, no, they're dead.
Yeah,
like, they're dead. Like, and then yes, they make the way to Miss Deagle's house, which I took a note to this because she has a cat named Dollar Bill.
Funny, but not food. And also, she's evil.
Yeah, she gets it. She deserves her comeuppance.
Yeah, so they are pretty much like just rampaging through the town, killing very like well-known people, or attacking / killing well-known people in this small little town, like the guy that plays Santa every year. They cut the sheriff's brakes, and then Kate is working because she's not working at the bank, so she's working at the bar. Ultimately take over the bar that Kate's working at. Like, they are just, like I said, rampaging through this little town.
Yeah.
Just taking everything by storm, essentially.
It's funny because you get that little shot where they're in the sheriff's car and they're like, that's Dave Morris. He plays Santa. He does Santa every year while they're killing him.
Yeah. So Kate is actually able to like escape the chaos by using the flash on a camera.
Yeah.
Because they know the sunlight could hurt them, so they don't like the bright flashes.
Well, she doesn't know. One of them takes a picture and it gets scared because and that's another thing is like Billy doesn't tell Kate about him. Like,
yeah.
And that's the thing. Think about this. Think about her working there, and then the door opens and just all these little monsters come in. I'd shit my pants.
Yeah, and also I think you get a peek when Billy first gets Gizmo that they don't like flashes because I think they try to take a picture.
No, he goes in the bathroom and the bathroom lights are too bright. He's like, bright light, bright light, bright light.
Yeah. But yeah, so Kate ends up being able to escape, and Billy's trying to make all this stop. He is trying to rescue his little town. Pretty much they get to the bank.
And this is when basically after he rescues Kate, but his car freaking breaks out again. And so they get to the bank, and this is when we hear the awful story.
Oh, yeah.
The Kate story of why she doesn't like Christmas. Oh my God.
Yeah, so essentially, during one Christmas, Kate's dad was playing Santa.
Yeah.
And
he gets, okay, so
yeah.
So basically, he is going to dress up as Santa and he's going to come down the chimney and surprise them.
But unfortunately, he ends up going down the chimney and breaking his neck, essentially, and getting stuck in the chimney.
Oh my God.
So ever since then, they do not like Christmas, rightfully so, and that's why Kate just says Christmas is a depressing time and not a time that she wants to celebrate, which I'm sorry, that is devastating. But these gremlins are taking over the town and Billy has a lot of stuff going on. I don't think that was probably the most ideal time to share something that is so unfortunate and morbid. That needs to be in time for another day because there's a lot going on here.
But yeah, so after this scene, basically they leave the bank and they're noticing like it's like a ghost town. Like I wonder, I wish they would do a body count of how many people the fucking gremlins killed.
I don't know. They were going to town.
Because that's the funny thing is like this movie's so dark if you sit back and think about it like, oh no, these little monsters killed people. Like these people didn't get severely hurt. They're dead.
Yeah,
They're dead.
I guess like I didn't really notice how many people died.
Well, yeah, it doesn't. Yeah, I don't think you could ever actually find out, but
I didn't even really notice they were like killing people. Like I did, but didn't. It's so chaotic and there's so much going on.
Well, like Mrs. Deagle, she's dead. Like she probably, like when she shot out of her house, when she hit that concrete, she's dead. She's not coming up. She's not.
Well, yeah, but they like it's not all these. Although a bunch of people died or whatever, it's not a bunch of like morbid scenes. Obviously, if you've seen Gremlins, you know this. But yeah, you don't. Personally, I didn't realize I thought they were just destroying the town. Essentially, that's what I was paying attention to.
But yeah, so we find out like basically it's like a ghost town, and they're trying to figure out what's going on. Where do they all go? And you find out they went to the movie theater, and then that's when Billy comes up with the idea because like I guess the boiler in the back or whatever, they're going to release the gas and they're going to blow up the movie theater.
Yeah.
And it works, but. Just so happens, Stripe is across the street, or so, and he does not get killed when that blows up.
And Stripe is essentially like the most evil one.
Yeah,
like
he's
the
like the
leader of the pack.
Leader of the pack, yeah. And then so he makes his way to the department store, which is across the street. And that's once there's so many cool things in this movie. Like I like the town. I love the town. I love the music. The music where the neighbors are getting killed with the plow. I wrote that down. That dun 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 dun.
You're like, I understand people were dying, but music.
Oh no, yeah. Well, it's great. I love it. Like it's fantastic, and I love that like little department store because like that. So if this town. They kind of like the Back to the Future town, whatever.
Yeah.
But the same set or whatever. But like my hometown is kind of like that.
Yeah.
Yeah. We don't have like something we don't have my town's not a complete square, but we have the town square.
Yeah.
And stuff.
I will tell you. Yeah. Like the town Logan grew up in. So that's where we got married and we had to go to the post office for something or another. And it's legit a post office that I've never seen before. Like it's so dated. Like they have the old school, like, you go in and you talk to like
a teller through
a wired thing or whatever.
Yeah, it's very beautiful. It's very pretty. Like it looks like the Western times.
Yeah, and like the I guess like PO style boxes are in this like cage type thing that you walk into, and it's not because it's a dangerous town. It's a very, very small town in the South with like the sweetest people on the planet, but it's just super dated. Like
no, it's like if you go back and like watch
it's in this cement building. Like
if you go back and like watch a movie of like a Western movie where someone goes into a bank and you see a bank teller and they have their little grates in front of them. Whatever. That's basically what the post office looks like. It looks like that.
Yeah. But yeah, so I can definitely see where this town at this time period reminds me of your hometown.
Yeah, because like in my hometown, there is like it's not a department store. It's like I won't call it a wilderness store, but I mean bait and tackle and stuff like kind of like like you can buy like some tools there. But
Is that in the like little strip where
it's Ted's? Remember?
Oh yeah.
Like for example, when
where the sign's upside down,
where they installed the sign years ago, someone accidentally installed it upside down. But they never changed it, and then that became the thing.
Yeah, like they sell T-shirts with it spelled backwards on them.
Yeah, so it's up. It's not backward. It's upside down. So like it's Ted's like T below T a E below
E a D and below D and S.
Yes,
but
it's
instead it's SDET.
Yeah, and that's all upside down. So it's kind of funny. But so like this store is, I mean, even though this is a department store, but like it's kind of like a miniature Walmart where it's kind of like, because you have like TVs and like tools and whatever. But this just reminded me of this just like kind of felt like home a little bit. But when Spike runs in there and basically tries to kill Billy, literally, with like multiple different types of things. We get a little Steven Spielberg Easter egg in there with the E.T. doll.
Yeah.
That's another little funny little cute little thing.
We gotta watch E.T. But yeah, so essentially you have Billy and Kate have teamed up and they're trying to kill Spike. They need to get rid of Spike. All the other gremlins, Mowgai, are taken care of, essentially. And this is like the worst place to be because it is a department store, so there's tons of things you could use to kill, maim, and injure someone. So Spike, while trying to kill Billy, essentially, is also like attempting to grow more gremlins.
Yeah.
In a water fountain. Like he's just gonna pop a bunch of little hymns out, and continue the takeover. But sweet little Gizmo.
He's riding around his little car.
Yeah. Pretty much Gizmo knows what's going to like kill Spike without exerting all this energy that Billy and Kate are doing. And he opens the shutters to the mall. Like he opens the shutters, lets the light in, because ultimately the light is going to be what kills Spike.
Yeah. And then all the light comes in and it starts to attack him. And he's like, basically starts to like all like milk dish kind of like thing.
Yeah, like old school, like, like monster killing, essentially.
So this effect is also, it's really cool because, like I said, we have Chris Wallace who does this. Well, Chris Wallace is the guy who did the melting face in Raiders of the Lost Ark. Yeah. So this is very like seeing the gremlin melt. Yeah. It's very like on point to like the stuff like he can create. Very good. Very nice special effects here. Like, I love this scene where he turns basically into a skeleton. Yeah. It's great. And then this is funny because, like, they actually were going to have... So they were going to have Billy be the main hero in this point, and they switched it up and made it Gizmo.
Good. Gizmo's so cute. And we get one last, like, spook where Spike essentially, like, just jumps out of the fountain, but he's
the skull. It's like the skeleton version.
Yeah. But really, like, nothing happens out of it. Spike's done for. Gizmo is the hero, his cute little furry self. And at that point, we cut back to Billy's home after all this chaos. Yeah,
and then when we get back to Billy's house, and we basically are greeted with the old man from Chinatown, and he's came to take Gizmo back. Yeah. Oh. Yeah, and then we... Basically, it's sad, but they understand. It just makes sense. It does, because
Gizmo wasn't meant to be a pet.
No. And so, he's going to miss him, but he gives him back. And then the movie starts with the dad's narration, and then the movie ends with the dad's narration. And he has a little, like, always be warned, check your house for gremlins and stuff like that. I love that little part.
Yeah, it was just a cute ending, closure, whatever.
And it has that great music at the ending. Yeah. Oh, my God, so good.
But yeah, so that brings us to the end of talking about gremlins in general. Yeah. I really just want a gremlin. No, I want a Gizmo.
Yeah, you want a Gizmo.
Rewind. Don't want any of those evil little things, those crusty looking things, because they're also like they're ugly.
No, they're nasty looking.
But Gizmo is so stinking cute.
No, yeah, it's like I said, this movie is like I'll say it again. It's crazy because this movie, there's a lot of people like that just. Let me restart here. Gremlins, Ghostbusters, Indiana Jones, like these kind of movies are like these just classic movies that have a humongous fan base, huge fan base, and it's just crazy to see. Like for example, like my favorite movie is The Crow. It's whatever, but that's a big fan base. But there's no way, there's not the amount of people that like The Crow like I like it don't exist to the amount of people that like and love Gremlins.
Yeah,
and this is just one of those movies where, and so far a lot.
I love Beetlejuice.
Well, yeah. Well, Beetlejuice. I will say now, there's some movies that I grew up on that were staples in my house.
Yeah,
and I will say. Beetlejuice, Addams Family.
Oh, yeah.
Edward Scissorhands. And I'm not even trying to be like, I understand, like, as I got older in life, it was cool to like certain things. Like, it was like, oh, it's like Trini thing, like, oh, I was a Hot Topic snob kid growing up and stuff like that. Like, so, like, it was cool to wear, like, Nightmare Before Christmas shirts and stuff. I mean, still kind of popular now. And like, it was cool to, like, it was cool to like Tim Burton stuff. I like that stuff when I was little. Like, I didn't know who the hell Tim Burton was.
I was a huge Addams Family fan. Huge Addams Family fan.
Yeah, and I think
at a very, very young age.
And so like this was the 80s generation, so this is like so we grew up more in the 90s. Yeah. So like that is our stuff. So yes, I understand like maybe I don't have as much of a connection to Gremlins as some of the people do have.
Oh yeah.
Because it wasn't my era. To I guess get latched on to it.
Yeah.
But
I'm also someone that firmly believes even if it's not your era to enjoy something or whatever, to have it be your favorite, you can always play catch up.
Yeah, you can always enjoy it. 100%.
There's one thing that drives me crazy when people are like, well, you're too young to like really be into that.
What are they called?
Listen, fuck off.
Gatekeepers?
Gatekeepers are where people don't tell you where they like got something or something like that. Like if you're like, okay, oh my gosh, I love your shirt, and every time he says to me, I'm like, I don't know where I got it. And you're like, okay, whatever. You just don't want to tell me.
That's bullshit. I can tell you everywhere I bought everything I own. I swear. I can pick out.
I can't do that.
I can pick out a shirt and tell you, oh yeah, I got that from T Public, or I got that from Middle of Beyond. Or
yeah.
I can pick up one of my comics and be like, I bought that at Third Eye. That one came from Amazon. Like, I can tell you where I got my shit.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
But, yeah, I'm a firm believer, and it doesn't really matter what time you were born. You can still play catch up and fall in love with something just as much as, someone may have fallen in love with it when it came out. Yeah,
100%. And that's how I felt. That's me with Gremlins.
Yeah.
Like, it came on later in my life for me to enjoy it. And I'm not as passionate, like, like if I had a list of my favorite movies of all time, it wouldn't be on it per se, but it's still a good movie. Same thing, like for example, I was telling you about like Ghost with Patrick Swayze.
Yeah,
it's not one of my favorite movies of all time, but that doesn't mean it's not a good movie.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? Like, and same thing goes for like
Well, that's just because there's a huge. Obviously, this is a no-brainer, but there's a huge difference between your favorite movies and a good movie.
Yeah. But. This is they don't just I don't know, like they just don't make certain movies like that anymore. But yeah, I would like to get more movies like this where where you can have that a little like I said, the only word I keep on coming up with is cozy. I want to say something more intellectual, but I can't. All I come up with is cozy.
Well, yeah, no, I mean I understand what you're saying, and ultimately, what everyone finds to be cozy is something different. I think staples of those kind of movies are a family-oriented movie. For example, in Home Alone, you have this like basic family that we all, experience or want to experience depending on your upbringing. In this one, you have a family with a dad that's an inventor. In Mrs. Doubtfire, you have this little bit of a dysfunctional family, but they're trying, they're happy, it's joyful. I think joy and family oriented are two major staples that make a movie a comfy movie or a feel-good movie.
Yeah, and I wish I could have I wish I would have watched this earlier in my life and stuff like that, but it came to me when it did, and like I said, I love watching this.
You should have listened. You should have watched it when Brad wanted to watch it.
I know. God damn it. I know. Shout
out, Brad.
I know, because I remember he was so mad. It's so funny because it was because of me that he's like, well, I don't want to watch Gremlins, but I can't watch it because Logan's a scaredy pants.
Yeah.
I was a scaredy pants.
I mean, I've known him to talk. I was scared of life itself as a kid.
Well, I still can't get you to hardly watch any of these horror movies. All
right, listen up, guys. I don't mind horror movies, but life is stressful enough. I don't want to sit there on the edge of my seat wondering if this next person's going to get their face cut off. But you want to know what I will listen to? True crime all day, every single day.
Yeah, and that doesn't make any sense because
there's something about it where like these are real.
It's real.
Yeah, I know
exactly.
It's real, but
that's the scary part.
No, but at the same time, there's some sort of like different type of compassion you have when it's something real. Like I'm very big on missing persons cases or unsolved, murders or watching them try to be solved in real time because there's some sort of compassion you have because these are real people and you want to see them get justice and you want to know what has happened to them.
Yeah, I don't want to hear about real murder and stuff. That's the reason why I don't mind horror movies and gory movies because it's not real. It's not really someone getting their face blown off. Like that's not really a real arm getting severed.
But also, like I'm not listening. I mean, not listening to real arms getting severed. They don't broadcast stuff like that. It's not a movie.
Well, that one thing on Netflix we watched, and then we figured out, oh, that's real photo. The guy getting his face blown off with a shotgun. Jesus Christ!
I don't know if any of you guys have. I forget what it's called. Is it the dark times of the '90s or something or '80s?
I
dark
don't remember.
Side of the '80s, '90s.
Was that what it was,
or was it the real side of the mobs?
It was something like that.
It was some show about mobs and like the dark truth of them, and essentially. In New York, someone, their head was up because people weren't doing what they were supposed to do in the mob world. I don't know. I'm not a part of that. And this guy got shot in the face and they showed a picture. But like, mind you, me and Logan thought it was just like a reenactment like you see on the ID channel. Or I think they do murder stuff on the ID channel. We thought it was like that. And then I was like, shit, Logan, that's a picture of a real picture. That is legit. That guy with his jaw just like hanging down, sitting in the passenger seat. And we just about shit our pants because you don't usually see that on TV.
No.
And like, even in the true crime stuff I listen to, sometimes, yes, you will see stuff from the scene. I mean, I mostly listen to podcasts, so there isn't really much imagery there. But yeah, we saw that photo and we were like, shit, this is just like chilling on Hulu or whatever.
I think it was Netflix.
Yeah, with like the legit photos of the scene. Like, damn, shit.
That was shocking. So that's the thing is like, I can do stuff like in movies. Like that doesn't bother me. And then like with their true crime
See,
stuff.
I can do real life stuff.
Yeah.
But anyways, yeah. So I will try my best to jump in some horror films for you guys. I like the classics, like the Scream movies. I don't mind those. Those are fine. Mm-hmm. Halloween. Yeah, that's fine.
You did well during The Thing. That didn't gross you out too much.
Yeah, the older ones don't really bother me.
Well, that movie's gross though.
Yeah, but like the effects are appropriate for their time. But now that like I watch them, I'm like, that's not that bad. Yeah. But I didn't really like the dog thing.
Yeah.
That stuff makes me sad.
Yeah.
But yeah, so there will be horror films coming your way, and I will most likely be sitting in the seat talking about them.
Yeah. So our next episode is going to be Carrie. So Becca's agreed to sit down and watch Carrie with me, which I tell her it's not scary whatsoever. There's nothing scary about it.
Let me tell you something. You guys will probably get two good, comfy movies for everyone. Horror movie, unless it's Halloween. Then we will be talking to you guys only about scary horror Halloween movies, because then comes Christmas, which I love Christmas movies.
Yeah.
But yeah, so we hope you guys enjoyed listening us talk about Gremlins and all the things in between that sparked our mind while watching the movie and talking about it. I think I've said it before, whether we like it, love it, or hate it, we'll talk to you guys about it and share our thoughts with you. So as always, thank you for listening. Please like, subscribe, rate us, whatever you feel like doing on your end, to help us get out there and
100%.
reach a larger portion of this community. We appreciate it, and we will keep that content coming as much as we can.
100%. Yes. Like or subscribe on YouTube. And then also with if you can give us any 4-star reviews, 4-star ratings on Apple Podcasts or Spotify, that'd be great, because that'll help us reach more people. Anything that y'all can do, that greatly appreciated. Once again, I'd like to throw another shout out at the end of the episode to Retro Station for helping us out with my DVD of the Gremlins. Like I said, everything that y'all do is greatly appreciated. And we thank you for all the support we've gotten so far. Thank you so much.
Yes. And we will see you guys next week.
All right. See you later.
Bye.